All right, so we're back for another deep dive, and this time we're really getting into it with the final call.
Yeah.
Last time we kind of just scratched the surface, with the promo materials and everything.
Right.
But now we're taking the plunge, folks. We're going deep into the first 5 chapters.
Absolutely, yeah. These first 5 chapters are really setting the stage.
Oh, yeah.
We get to meet the main players, see the world a little bit,
Yeah.
and really dig into the chilling circumstances around Daniel Reeves' murder.
Well, speaking of chilling circumstances, that first chapter, man, it starts off with a bang, doesn't it?
It really does.
You're in this luxurious penthouse.
Opulence.
Oh, yeah, you can practically smell the expensive whiskey,
Mm-hmm.
the plush rugs, the whole 9 yards, but then, bam, it hits you, the brutality of the murder scene.
Yeah, that contrast is so interesting,
Yeah.
You're in this world of luxury, and then suddenly, this stark violence.
A single gunshot, blood splatter.
Yeah.
It's like a punch to the gut.
I think the author did that on purpose,
Oh, yeah.
to make that contrast really stand out.
Oh, for sure.
Highlight the jarring nature of the crime.
And what's even more interesting is how clean the scene is.
Right.
Like it was almost staged.
Yeah. No forced entry, no shell casing.
Exactly.
Someone knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Points to a professional for sure.
Definitely a pro. And then there's the missing phone and the disabled cameras. Why go through all that trouble?
That's a great question. Disabling the cameras makes sense. You don't want to be caught on film.
Right.
But taking the phone,
Yeah.
that adds a whole other layer to this. I mean, what were they trying to hide?
Right. It's like they're actively trying to control the narrative, erase any trace of themselves.
Totally. It really makes you wonder what was on that phone.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's something else that really struck me in that first chapter. The look on Reeves's face.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't just shock or fear.
Mm.
It was like dot recognition. Like he knew his killer. What do you make of that?
That's definitely significant.
Right.
If Reeves knew his killer, it changes everything.
It's not just some random hit.
Exactly. It suggests a personal connection, maybe a betrayal. There's a history there, a story we don't know yet.
Definitely makes the motive a lot more complicated.
Much more.
And speaking of complicated, we meet Detective Julia Park in Chapter 2, Gray's partner.
Oh, yeah, Detective Park.
They're diving headfirst into this case. And Reeves's career.
Yeah.
As a defense attorney. Yeah, that's going to make things pretty messy.
Oh, without a doubt. A defense attorney.
Yeah.
They make enemies. It's part of the job.
For sure. Think about all the people he put behind bars, all the cases he won.
Right, and not everyone's going to be happy about that. The list of suspects could be endless.
Endless. And then there's the last phone call Reeves made, minutes before his death, from an untraceable number that sent shivers down my spine.
Untraceable numbers, burner phones, classic.
All right.
It just speaks to the premeditation of this crime. They had it all planned out.
Every detail, yeah.
Every detail. They knew what they were doing. It's chilling.
It really is. But Chapter 3 brings us a glimmer of hope. Carter Mills, the tech specialist, he works his magic.
Oh, yeah, Mills.
There's no audio on the call,
Right.
but he manages to isolate some background noise.
Interesting. Background noise can be surprisingly useful.
Yeah, tell me about it. You never know what little detail might crack the case wide open.
Exactly. It's like finding a tiny piece of a puzzle.
That's a good way to put it.
Sometimes it's that one little piece that makes the whole picture clear.
And in this case, that tiny piece turns out to be a train horn.
A train horn. Really?
Yep, specifically the eastbound nightliner.
Yeah.
It only runs through a specific part of the city at a specific time.
Wow. So that means they can pinpoint the caller's location.
Exactly, the industrial district.
Yeah.
At the exact time of the murder.
Uh-huh. That's pretty damning.
And guess what? The train line runs right through the industrial district.
Oh, wow. A perfect escape route. Pre-planned.
It makes you think, doesn't it?
It does.
Like the killer knew the city, the train schedule, the whole deal.
Someone who could blend in, disappear into the night.
It's like a ghost story almost.
And Chapter 4 takes us right into the heart of that ghost story.
Oh, yeah.
The industrial district. It's described as bleak, desolate.
Oh, yeah.
It just oozes danger. You can practically feel the tension in the air.
And the detectives find a cut in the fence surrounding the train yard. Someone was definitely trying to avoid those
Or
cameras.
avoiding detection at all costs.
And then, bam, they spot a shadowy figure. The chase is on.
Oh man, that scene is intense.
It is. You're right there with him running through this maze of shipping containers. It's so vividly described.
The author really knows how to build suspense. Your heart is racing right alongside the detective.
Oh, absolutely. They almost catch him, but he vanishes. Poof, like smoke.
Gone without a trace.
But they do find something. A burner phone.
Another one.
Yep. And guess who the last call was to?
Don't tell me. Daniel Reeves.
You got it.
Wow.
It's like a taunt, you know? A way for the killer to stay one step ahead.
It's chilling. They're playing with the detectives, almost.
Like a cat with a mouse.
And it raises the stakes. What's their end game? What are they trying to achieve?
Exactly. What do they want? We're left hanging.
And that brings us to Chapter 5. Back to the tech lab with Carter Mills and that burner phone.
Yeah, the phone's been wiped clean.
But I bet Mills can find something.
Oh, he's a whiz kid. He manages to pull some GPS data. You know, it's amazing how these tiny details can make or break a case.
It's true. It's a constant battle between technology and those trying to hide from it.
Absolutely. And the GPS data, well, it leads them to another location in the industrial district, Pier 17.
Interesting. So we're back in the thick of it.
Back in the thick of it. The detectives set up a stakeout at this abandoned warehouse. And that's when things get really interesting. They encounter a man, Vincent Hale. He is absolutely terrified.
Terrified.
Yeah. And he claims to know who killed Reeves. And get this, he thinks he's the next target.
Whoa. That's a twist.
Talk about a cliffhanger, right? Who is this guy? Why is he so scared? What does he know?
So many questions. It's like the author just threw a whole new wrench into the works.
A big one.
And we're left hanging, desperate for answers.
We are. But that's all we have for this part of our deep dive. We'll be back soon to tackle the next 2 chapters and hopefully uncover some of those answers.
You know, it's fascinating how Vincent Hale just pops up out of nowhere, throws a whole new wrench into the investigation.
I know, right? It's like, is he a genuine source or is this guy just trying to manipulate the situation? Because, I mean, all we have is his word right now.
Yeah, we're definitely left wondering, is Hale really in danger or is he playing some kind of game?
Exactly. I mean, it's brilliant writing, though.
Oh, absolutely.
The author is dangling all these little threads, making us question everything.
Yeah, it's a classic mystery technique, right? Keep the reader guessing.
Keeps us hooked. But I think before we get too ahead of ourselves, maybe we should rewind a bit.
Okay, yeah, good idea.
You know, we left off with Hale's dramatic entrance, but I think it's worth unpacking what we know about him so far.
Right, right. So we know he's an ex-con, served time for some white-collar crime. Embezzlement, I think it was.
Yeah, something like that. But here's the interesting part. He claims he was framed.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And the defense attorney who represented him.
Daniel Reeves.
Bingo. So now we have to ask.
Does he hold a grudge?
Yeah, is there some lingering resentment? Did he blame Reeves for not getting him acquitted? You know, that kind of bitterness can fester, and sometimes it leads to...
Reeves.
Exactly. But if Hale wanted Reeves dead, why would he be so scared now?
That's a good question. Doesn't quite add up. Unless Reeves' death wasn't about Hale at all. Maybe it was orchestrated by someone else entirely, someone who's also a threat to Hale.
Okay, so we're thinking maybe someone connected to that white-collar crime Hale was involved in.
Possibly. It's like we're peeling back the layers of an onion here. And every layer we peel, the deeper this mystery gets.
And stinkier. Don't forget stinkier.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of layers, Chapter 3 really dives into Reeves' last case, right? He was representing Innovatech, this massive tech company. They were accused of stealing trade secrets. Could this be connected to his murder somehow?
It's definitely a possibility. These corporate espionage cases, cutthroat.
Yeah, high stakes.
High stakes. People are willing to do a lot to protect their interests. I mean, think about it. We're talking rivals, disgruntled employees, maybe even someone within Innovatech itself.
Right.
Any of them could have had a motive to silence Reeves, especially if he was getting too close to the truth.
Especially if he was going to blow the whole thing wide open.
Yeah, exactly. And Chapter 4 really takes us into that world, doesn't it? All that corporate intrigue.
Oh, man, we're talking undercover operations, secret meetings, backstabbing. It's like something out of a spy movie.
It really is. I love how the author puts us right there in the thick of it.
We're practically feeling the pressure.
Right. We're right there with Detective Graves, trying to gather information without blowing his cover. It's so well written, you can practically feel the tension.
Oh, absolutely. And it seems to pay off, because in Chapter 5, Graves uncovers a secret meeting.
Oh, between who?
Executives from Innovatech and their rival company.
No way.
They're discussing a huge deal, and guess what? It hinges on those stolen trade secrets.
So it all comes back to those secrets.
Full circle. And
Oh.
suddenly the stakes are even higher, right? It's not just corporate rivalry anymore.
Right.
We're talking potential millions, baby billions of dollars.
Yeah, people kill for less.
And Reeves, well, he was right in the middle of it.
It makes you wonder, was he killed to ensure that deal went through? To protect someone's profits?
It's a chilling thought.
It really is. We're
Jen-
talking greed, power, a whole lot of secrets. It's a recipe for disaster.
And remember that offshore account Hale mentioned?
Oh, yeah, that's right. He overheard something in prison, right?
Yeah, something about Reeves and an offshore account. And guess who it was potentially being used to launder money for?
Someone at Innovatech.
Someone powerful. Someone who could bring the whole company down if the truth came out.
Wow. So we've gone from a simple murder to corporate espionage, and now we're adding money laundering to the mix.
This is getting complicated.
It is, and it makes you wonder, what was Reeves going to do with that information? Was he going to expose everything?
It's possible. Maybe someone found out and had to silence him.
It's a possibility for sure. It definitely makes you question who you can trust in this story. And speaking of trust, remember how Hale claimed he was framed for that white-collar crime?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Well, it turns out
He wasn't.
he wasn't framed at all. He was covering for someone else who was involved.
Which makes you wonder, who was he protecting? And why?
Right.
And how does all of this tie back to Reeves and his murder?
So many questions. We're only 5 chapters in, and this thing is already more twisted than a pretzel.
I know. But I have a feeling it's only going to get more twisted from here.
Oh, I'm sure of it. Buckle up.
So where does this leave us? I mean, we've got so many unanswered questions. Is Hale really in danger? What's going to happen to Innovatech if this whole offshore account thing blows up?
Yeah.
And the big one, who killed Daniel Reeves?
Yeah, the authors really laid the groundwork for a truly gripping thriller, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
These first 5 chapters, they do a fantastic job of creating this atmosphere of suspicion, like nobody's safe, nobody can be trusted.
It's like everyone's looking over their shoulder.
Exactly. And you know what? Even the detectives aren't immune to that. I mean, think about it.
Right.
They're dealing with a killer who's always one step ahead. It's like they're being manipulated, played like pawns in some twisted game.
And they don't even know who they can trust within their own ranks. I mean, talk about betrayal, right?
Yeah.
That ending of chapter 5. Man, Carter Mills.
Oh, I know.
Our tech whiz, feeding information to someone outside the investigation.
I did not see that coming.
It's like a punch to the gut. Makes you wonder if anyone in this story is truly on the level.
Well, that's the thing about good characters, right? They surprise you, they're complex, you think you know them, and then, bam, they pull the rug out from under you.
And this reveal with Mills, it just throws everything into question.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what's his motive? Is he trying to protect someone? Is he being blackmailed?
Is he in over his head?
Yeah.
We don't know. And that's what's so brilliant about all of this. We, as readers, are in the same boat as the detectives. We're constantly analyzing the characters, trying to figure out who's playing who.
Trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together.
Exactly. You know, I found myself going back, rereading certain passages, just trying to see if I missed any clues, any hints about Mills.
Oh, yeah, I did that too. It's one of those stories that gets under your skin. Stays with you long after you've finished reading.
It really does.
Yeah.
And we're only 5 chapters in. It's exciting, you know. We've just scratched the surface of this whole world of secrets and lies, and I have a feeling it's only going to get more intense from here.
Oh, I agree. Buckle up, folks.
We're in for a wild ride. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. We'll be back soon to dive into the next few chapters. But in the meantime, we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the final call so far? Who do you suspect? Any theories you want to share?
Head over to our website, leave a comment, join the discussion. We're all in this together, folks, trying to unravel this mystery 1 chapter at a time. And who knows, maybe your insights will help us crack the case wide open.
So until next time, keep those pages turning and watch your back. You never know who might be listening.